So let's get started. So this is, for me, these are fun events. I just want to start off by saying I'm going to try to pretend that I'm cold. All you guys are wearing coats. You're like, oh, aren't you cold? No, I'm not cold. I'm fine, thank you. I'm all right. Anyway, we've been waiting for this event for a while. This is, in some ways, the project speaks for itself. This is a glorious new apartment building right here, facing right here on the corner, as the name implies, of Union and Route 18, otherwise known as JFK Boulevard, but overlooking the harbor, the central waterfront. And it's been a long time in coming, and it speaks to, I think, a lot of the things that are happening in the city right now, a lot of the needs, a lot of the aspirations, and a lot of the progress. And so, we're here for a long time. We've worked to knit together the downtown and the central waterfront. I've long held, many in the city have long held that in order for the central waterfront, the waterfront generally to work, we need to get people there. But in order for that to happen, that expanse has to become walkable. And so for many years, this is my time in office, we've been working to make this feel much more pedestrian friendly. The roadway's been narrowed, it's been landscaped, things have developed on the other side that might draw people over there. As every city planner, as anybody in the business of city planning knows, human beings tend to walk incrementally. You don't look at something that's a mile away and say, I'm going to walk this vast, expansive parking lot to get there. You say, oh, I'm going to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so that's what we're trying to do in the way of knitting together all this stuff. A key piece of it, and right here, is this very building, which was owned by Carl Beckman's family for a long, long time as a marine supply store that was part of the big supply chain, part of the big cluster associated with the fishing industry in the city, but it was pretty dilapidated. This was, and there's still splinters left, Richard, just enough splinters left to qualify for historic tax credits. One of the oldest buildings in the city, one of the oldest, I think may have been the oldest building on the waterfront, but it was falling apart and it looked like it. And so this project in many ways was to put a really good face forward. In many respects, this is the front porch of the city, looking out onto the waterfront, the historic waterfront, the very active and successful waterfront. But at the same time, this is all together about creating housing units in a city that needs to beef up its supply of housing. We live in a city where it is hard to make the numbers work for new housing units for lots of reasons having to do with the construction market in New England and the rents that can be charged in greater New Bedford. So what this was really a terrific, and it sounds so cliche these days, but a terrific public-private partnership. Richard LaFrance and LaFrance family have made some really key investments in the city, and some of them fairly risky. The Fairfield Inn, it's easy to say now, Richard, your hotel, I know you don't like to admit it, but your hotel nowadays is full all the time. But you didn't have a crystal ball back when you invested almost 20 years ago in that place. The city hadn't had a waterfront hotel in decades, but you believed in the place and you said, you're going to put your money where your mouth is, and you took a risk, and it's paying off very, very well, much to the benefit of the city and the region. And so you stepped up here as well in a big way and took on a project that, for everybody who has been part of it, Sean and Jeff, the folks at DF Prey, certainly all the ARPA folks in city government and housing, really complicated. This is a really complicated project, legally, financially, and a lot of things had to be pieced together just so. The punchline to all this is, we've been waiting to do this ribbon cutting. We wanted to finish all the streetscape work, but in the meantime, it turns out we can't show you any of the apartments because they filled up like that. The place is all full. You had reserved the space so we could have all the media come in and check out just how cool it is, and it is cool. And maybe somebody will let you in their apartment to with your camera. But the reality is this filled up right away because the demand is there. The demand is there in the market generally, and the demand is there for places that are really cool. Look, if you get water views, you're amid dozens of restaurants and shops right here in the downtown. It's a great location. This was a fabulous project, and it allows us to. It's the kind of project that, as a city, we can build on, because it is, and I would use this. This is yet another overused metaphor, but it is sort of a cornerstone of development. We had to get this right here, because of its key location, and that allows us to push up Union Street further still with more development. There's a lot going on, more can happen, and I think this is such a great start, and that's why the city was willing to pour a considerable amount of resources, most of which came from the federal government, and we'll talk about that in a second, into this property. The other element here that is sort of in the category of stay tuned, of course, is the restaurant right over there. Steve Silverstein, who's been hugely successful with a number of restaurant projects in the city, is going to be establishing a Mexican restaurant right there. And just in tongue-in-cheek fashion, he's going to keep the name National Club, which for all of us who are familiar with the National Club, not saying I ever frequented the National Club for the record, but it's kind of funny, especially for a Mexican restaurant, a high-end Mexican restaurant, which is what it'll be. It's scheduled to open up in the spring. So maybe they'll have a sign of, I don't know what National Club is, Nacional something in Spanish or whatever. Maybe we'll have that inside as well, but that'll add a lot, and it'll really project a lot of vibrancy back out across to the water. So it's a really cool project. Let me just say, I'm so grateful for your entrepreneurial spirit, Richard, your willingness to take risk, to take thoughtful risk. It's really remarkable to watch you in action as you sort of, you know the market well, you're deeply analytical, and you have just a strong sense of where things are going. And I learn a lot when I watch you, and it's pretty cool to see it all come together like this. And you're persistent. All these people were persistent in making this happen, because again, the financing stack was really complicated, and it's happened. So there are lots of people to thank, and I just want to go through the list, but so bear with me for a second. But the length of the list, and unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get to everybody, but at least it'll illustrate just how many people it took to put this thing together. So on top of Richard's efforts, I want to thank, of course, his private financiers, Bay Coast Bank, represented by Carl Tabor today. Lots of folks on the city side just arriving just in time. Christina Connolly, the city's COO. Josh Amaral, the Director of Housing and Community Development, and Laura, our historic planner. Tony Sapienza is here, the chair of just about everything in the city, and relevant to today, the Economic Development Council. For all of us, this has been a labor of love. It's been really important to do this site. In addition to that, I just want to thank folks like who worked on the other side of it. D.F. Prey, Scott Prey and his team, really great work. Jeff Pino, who understands and well understood the complicated financing of this project. Sean LaFrance, of course, and Jay Lanigan, all deeply involved in this effort. And as I said, I can't believe the place is full. I want to thank a couple of other folks on the historic preservation end of things, Aaron Miranda and Diana Henry at Whale. I didn't see Aaron. Was Aaron here? I didn't see Diana. A couple of other folks, Liz Rhoda from Congressman Keating's office, and Mike Jackman from Congressman Keating's office. So this project couldn't have happened without ARPA funds, and we wouldn't have ARPA funds if Congress hadn't passed the American Rescue Plan Act, and Congressman Keating was a big supporter of that act, and so we appreciate the Congressman's efforts in putting ARPA funds in here. Historic tax credits, both federal and state, I think, right? Both federal and state tax credits as well. Some home funds, again, another federal program that went in there, and then a whole lot of private funding. This is the way things should work. Look, in our market, there are some, on the housing front, there are market failures. We don't have in some ways. We don't have enough housing for everybody who seeks it. There's a lot going on demographically in terms of migration into the city and all that. It gets really complicated, but what we're responsibly trying to do is to enable projects, good projects consistent with the city's priorities to go forward by using public funds. That is an appropriate, I would submit, use of public funding in the private sphere. And this is a project that I think in the long run will prove its worth to taxpayers. So let me just say, just by way, and again, just a few other details that I want to add, just in the interest of completeness. The total amount of funding that went in, public funding, was $2.85 million in total. This is, just so you know the composition of the building, there is a total of 28 new apartments here, which, among other things, in addition to providing people housing, it will be a nice shot in the arm for all the restaurants here, because I don't know, if I lived here, I'd be going out to eat every single night. I suspect a lot of other people will too. So really key, and again, this will complement a lot of what we're also doing here in the downtown and of course on the Central Waterfront. A lot said, but you know, when we have these kinds of events, it's important to recognize everybody, or at least try to recognize everybody who had some role in it. In this particular case, it was a whole lot of folks. And so for all of you who played a part in it, consider this a success. You will be proud as the years go on, as you're drinking a margarita at that bar, you'll be able to tell everybody you had a role in this thing, and I thank you for that. With all that, a man who's served a few margaritas and other drinks and lots of food in his time, Richard LaFrance, who we're still trying to get him to invest still more in New Bedford, because we've got a strong value proposition for you, Richard, of course. And but for today, it's time to celebrate this particular project, and I want to thank you for that.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
It's obviously going to be a hot act to follow. It's interesting that we started this project with the Beckman family in 2016, so the mayor's had a lot of time to prepare such an outstanding statement of all the stuff that's happening, because it's been 8 years in the makings. But we're really, really proud of what we've accomplished. It goes back to sometime 2009 when we had an opportunity to respond to a city RFP about a hotel, and as you can see across the street, as the mayor mentioned, our Fairfield Inn across the street was something that, well, I think we'll see if we can do this. And it was really amazing. Our business, the family business, as most of you know, was started in 1946 when my mom and dad opened the diner in Fall River. So it's really something I really wanted to honor my father, who would have been 90 years old at if he was still living at the time. So we made sure that we opened that hotel on his birthday in May 27th in 2010. So from a family standpoint, we try to keep that going in the family. Hospitality has been our trademark for many since the inception. But you know, this is a new aspect of our business, and go into the housing market. As the mayor said, it was really a project that took a lot of work, a lot of collaboration between the city, who was amazing to work with, the historic commission, amazing to work with. We had, and the mayor mentioned, a lot of the partners in this from the Bay Coast Bank, D.F. Prey, Jay Lanigan, all those that really, and they took this project to heart, and they really spent a lot of time on trying the whole concepts, what we could do here, because as people who have come to this building know, it was really a building that was really took a lot of really insight and a lot of imagination what could happen. So, I'm going to give a lot of credit to our team, which is really led by my son Sean, oversaw that, and Jeff Pino, who was mentioned, who helped in all the financing. So, we can go on, but I'm really pleased to be a part of New Bedford. I think we realize New Bedford is a place to be. I'm so proud of all the stuff that's happened in the downtown area, what's going on in the waterfront. So we look to continue our exploration of what's going to happen in the city. So again, I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate the effort that everyone put into it, and certainly the city of New Bedford is really a place to be, and they want to make it happen, and we want to be part of that. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Richard. And so, as I mentioned, a lot of federal funds that went into the project, and we're very grateful for that. We did take, as a number of you know, we did take somewhat of a transactional approach to using ARPA funds. We made, instead of putting money into recurring costs like to run city government, although we did do some of that because we had to, but by and large we had people compete for the use of one-time funds to fill project financing stacks for projects like this, a number of the other housing developments up and down, not just the downtown but elsewhere in the city, port projects, daycare centers, and a whole lot else. And so this is one of several that will come to fruition that we'll be talking about in the next several months. I want to thank all the support that we got from both our state delegation as well as the city council along the way for that approach. They all understood, to a person, understood what we're doing, and we're foursquare in support of it. And again, these things, when we get everybody on the same page, lots of good stuff happens. And so I want to thank the state delegation first off for their assistance and hard work. And today, representing them is none other than Chris Hendricks, state representative, whose district we are standing in right now. Chris, thank you for all your support for all these projects, and I ask you to come on up and say a few words.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm really happy to be standing with you all today for this project. First off, I also want to thank all the partners involved, obviously the LaFrance family, Richard, Jay Lanigan, the bank, everybody. I go way back with Lanigan, working for Lanigan, bartending at Cork across the street. So, we go way back. And in this area, downtown has seen so much change, and it's undergone such a transition. It's really remarkable to see. I think I'm the last elected official, this is probably true, I'm probably the last elected official to raise hell in the National Club before it actually closed.
Wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, right. Before I stopped drinking in 2009, I would finish up my shift at Cork, and the National was always open, no matter what time it was. There was some area that was always open. So this is really meaningful to be here with you to celebrate this. A lot of effort has gone into this, a lot of things, a lot of state, federal, and local money that I'm really grateful for. I'm really happy that the state was able to put in HDIP money and money through tax credits to get this project on the ground. Everyone knows that housing is the biggest crisis that we're dealing with right now, and so to have these developments come up and all along Union Street and all other areas of the city, it's just really special and really good that we're using our resources in a smart way to get development up and running. So I really want to thank the city for prioritizing their housing plan, Josh Amaral, for all the work that you've done here in this area. So it's a good day. It's, as the mayor has said, it's a full house in here, so that's what we want to hear. Every time we have a ribbon cutting for a housing complex, chances are it's going to be full by the time we get to the ribbon, so that's a good thing. And I just want to thank everyone and congratulate everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I wanted to thank also the City Council for supporting projects like these that are supportive of our using ARPA funds to make housing developments that needed a little bit more cash to go forward, and this is a prime example of that. So many thanks to all the councilors in here today. Representing the City Council is Ward 6 Councilor Ryan Pereira. Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. This is I'll keep this brief because I think I stand between everyone and a ribbon cutting, and contrary to what the mayor said, it is cold out here. I'm sorry. And the last thing everyone wants to do is be cold and have to listen to another politician. So I'll keep this quick. But this is an exciting project for me. As the mayor said, being on the council, this was actually one of the first major issues that we dealt with when I was first elected, was how to utilize the ARPA money best and how to determine how much to put into each pool of funds. And I think the mayor and the council agreed that neighborhood stabilization, specifically in the housing category, was a top priority for the city. Projects are not getting completed without 6, 7, 8 double-digit funding sources, and being able to have a fund like ARPA that the federal government approved was a great success to communities like New Bedford, to continue furthering such a vibrant downtown. At the addition of apartments, as well as a future restaurant space at the National Club, is a great success for downtown, a great result, a great use of federal funds at the local level through sound leadership in the city, and through our team at City Hall, the mayor, the city council, working together to get a project across the finish line like this. And of course, the LaFrance family, thank you for another investment in the city. Jay Lanigan, Sean, Richard, we appreciate the commitment to New Bedford, and we hope we can continue this relationship and foster further development, because it is through public-private partnerships that we are going to continue to foster not only the creation of much-needed housing, as stated in our Building New Bedford plan, which is on our list, but to continue fostering economic development. This is creating a number of consumers for downtown restaurants, shops, bars, establishments that will see increase in foot traffic because of residents living right here. So I think this is overall a win-win-win for the city of New Bedford. So I thank the LaFrance family, Jay Lanigan and team for investing in New Bedford, leadership under Mayor Mitchell and the City Council for our continued support of ARPA funds for fostering projects such as these. Thank you.